Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Orange, the show where I let my patrons decide what I review. The options for this month's poll included Jurassic World, Thor Ragnarok, The Aristocats, How to Train Your Dragon, Paddington, and Despicable Me. They chose the Aristocats. In the Aristocats, a mother cat and her 3 kittens live with a caring owner called Madame Adelaide. They are very happy being the Madame's pets, and the Madame cherishes her felines more than anything or anyone. She loves her cats so much that she decides to leave everything to them in her will. Her butler Edgar hears this and discovers that he won't get anything until the cats pass away. In a bid to take everything Madame will be leaving behind, Edgar drugs the cats, then tries to get rid of them, but drops them after being attacked by a pair of dogs. The cats wake up and realise what has happened, but luckily they bump into a charming stray cat called Thomas O'Malley, who agrees to help them get home. Growing up, this film was one of my favourite Disney animated movies to watch again and again and again and again. Once I grew up, I noticed many people actually considered it to be one of the weaker Disney movies. Which did puzzle me, seeing how much I loved it as a kid. But then, after I revisited the film as an adult, I could finally see where people were coming from. To begin with, the setup for this movie is pretty dumb. When I say that the Madame is leaving behind a fortune to the cats, I'm not saying that the money will go towards a human to make sure it will be spent well on the cats. No, she's literally giving her stocks, bonds, everything to her cats. Lady, I know you love your cats, it's really sweet, but you're overestimating their accounting skills. This is just so Edgar has a reason to catnap, which makes the premise of the film feel really contrived. The film goes for a very episodic style of narrative where things just plod along, situations happen out of nowhere, or characters get distracted. There's too many scenes where I would keep thinking, what's the point of this? Or why is this still going? This is one of the shorter Disney animated films out there, and all this padding takes up most of the runtime. I swore I remember this film being very eventful and adventurous, so I was rather taken back to realise how soon the Aristocats arrive home, and was disappointed that when it comes down to it, not much happens in this film. But I think the biggest realisation I made as an adult was how rubbish Edgar makes for a villain. Sure, he does a decent job putting on the whole loyal servant act in front of his human peers, but the fact he doesn't go back to check on the cats after losing them is a sign of complete ineptitude. Yes, I know that Disney couldn't have actually shown a butler killing cats, that would have messed kids up, that's not what I'm implying. Disney could have at least tricked Edgar into thinking that he effectively murdered the cats. Make him believe that they're dead from his perspective, when really they survived. Having him accidentally dropping them then forgetting to make sure they're dead just makes him come across as an incompetent antagonist. Yes, he at least returns to the scene of the crime to retrieve evidence of his catnapping, but that's mainly an excuse to give the dogs another scene, as they were the studio's favourite characters. You can tell the scene's been forced in because it comes off as long-winded filler that wastes time. Time that I believe could have been better spent. Edgar could have quickly retrieved these belongings, then gone off to check to see if the cats had died, only to realise they survived and he has to finish off the job. This would have spiced up the Aristocats' adventure, with the cats knowing that a villain is on their tails. But it would have also made Edgar more interactive with the cat's journey. I guess I didn't notice these problems with Edgar as a kid because I was too busy laughing at him being humiliated in his silly pratfalls. And that's totally fine, kids will focus on what they want during a movie, but as an adult, I didn't find Edgar's slapstick to be funny enough to make up for him being a lousy bad guy. Edgar isn't very clever, he's not at all intimidating, and he doesn't have the same fun charisma as some of the more popular Disney villains out there. Although, while I understand why many people consider this to be one of the weaker Disney animated films, I wouldn't say that I hate it. That's a very strong word, best reserved for the worst of the worst. In spite of its shortcomings, I can't deny how much likability and personality this film has. The French aesthetics make the film delightfully atmospheric, with its gorgeous Parisian backgrounds and accordion-heavy music, lending to a romantic European backdrop for the cat's adventure. As episodic as the film might be for a feature movie, its whimsical depiction of France adds a relaxing mood to the story. even though the French humans are constantly attacking or yelling at the animals. Also, our heroes are likeable enough to make for pleasant company throughout their journey. Thomas O'Malley may be just Baloo as a cat, a smooth-talking bum with the voice of Phil Harris, but I can't really complain, he's just such a charming take on the formula.
Alright, first, to make the magic begin, you wiggle your nose and tickle your chin. Now you close your eyes and cross your heart. Then presto, breakfast, a la carte.
He can be a cheeky flirt and has a sassy attitude, but he owns his coolness, while being humble about being a stray cat.
Now that's quite a family. Come think of it, O'Malley, you're not a cat, you're a rat.
Not to mention, he's fantastic with the kittens, always keeping them entertained and even willing to risk his life for them. Duchess herself is adorably polite, introducing herself kindly to the characters she meets, respecting their customs, but also being willing to honestly admit that she's urgent about getting home. She's also admirably selfless, never usually concerned about her own well-being, feeling more sympathy for her kittens, animals she bumps into, plus her lovely kind-hearted owner. Even though the romance between Duchess and Thomas could be seen as a rehash of The Lady and the Tramp, I think it's still rather cute and sweet for what it is. You can see that the two of them are deeply attracted to each other's charms. There's some strong chemistry between them, particularly in a very romantic night scene on a rooftop, where Thomas offers to let the Aristocats live with him. These two can bring so much to their relationship too. Thomas could liven up Duchess's aristocratic lifestyle with his wild charisma, while also being a great responsible dad. And Duchess can help Thomas settle down, giving him a sense of self-worth and a better relationship with humans. Then there's the kittens. These three can be rather cute, with their naive innocence and impressionable personalities.
I'm a tough alley cat too.
Hey there, you're coming on. I bet you're a real tiger in your neighborhood.
Although I would understand if people found them annoying, as they can be a little too rambunctious and energetic at times.
Fight fair, Marie. Females never fight fair. Now that hurts.
Not to mention, Marie's constant damsel in distress moments can become grating. What about the characters that the Aristocats meet? What do I think of them? For the most part, I quite enjoyed the supporting characters, particularly the ones who actually played big parts in the finale, because they had bigger purposes beyond being comic relief. From the scene-stealing, music-loving, bouncy scat cat and the jazzy alley cats, to Rockford the little mouse, who does his best to help the cats despite the disadvantage of his size. The only characters I didn't like that much were the dogs and geese. As amusing as their dynamic of old veteran who thinks he knows best and youthful happy-go-lucky rookie is, Lafayette and Napoleon overstayed their welcome in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they're funny at first, but forcing in another scene with them ends up milking away what their dynamic was initially worth. While Abigail and Amelia were just too giggly for my liking, but at least they saved Thomas's life in one scene and introduced us to the legend himself, Uncle Waldo the Drunk Goose.
Now, girls, don't shush your old Uncle Waldo. Why, you'll wake up the whole neighborhood. Whoopee!
But the saving grace for this film, and the thing it's possibly best known for, has to be the songs by the Sherman Brothers. Scales and Arpeggios is a cute little number that develops the kittens' personalities while showing how much Duchess cares about raising highly talented children. Thomas O'Malley is a smooth and hip song. It really helps Thomas to make an impressionable entrance because he sounds so cool and confident back with this track. Everybody Wants to Be a Cat is the film's most popular song, and for good reason. It's a very catchy number about the alley cats proudly celebrating their species, with a wonderful arc in tone and mood, going from slow and cool to atmospheric and pretty, and finally ending with a wild explosive bang. Although the Asian alley cat in Scat Cat's band hasn't aged too well. Yeah. To conclude, the Aristocats may lack creative originality or a strong story, but I feel as if its relaxing atmosphere, likeable characters and fun songs kind of compensate for its downfalls. I get why so many people consider it to be one of the weaker Disney animated films, I really do, but there's enough here for me to like it fine. I know most of my forgiveness comes from a place of nostalgia, but still, I think it has its charms. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Orange? Well, that's entirely up to my patrons. The options for next month's poll include Mission Impossible, The Smurfs, The Magic Sword, Quest for Camelot, 101 Dalmatians, Ant-Man, and Justice League vs Teen Titans. Oh, pretty awesome poll right there, am I right? So don't forget that you have to be a patron in order to access this poll. What is a patron? Don't worry, I'll explain. This is my Patreon. It's a site for my fans to make monthly donations to me. Those who donate are called patrons. The money I receive goes towards funding my videos and serves as a supportive income for me. Patrons can donate as much as they want each month and stop donating any time. All donations are greatly appreciated, and in return for their patronage, patrons are given exciting rewards, depending on how much they donate, including their names credited in my main show, access to exclusive videos, and the chance to decide a review on my channel. Very excited to find out which film my patrons want me to review next on this show. Cheerio, folks.